And we're live. Here we go. Welcome back to another episode of More Than a Game about the Premier League, Gay League, and more. And as you will have seen, we are live. We'll be putting this on YouTube, and we will be setting it up as a podcast later on. Obviously, here with George in the lesser known and less productive London studio of the pod, and joined by Colby on screen. Colbs.
How are we, boys?
We're okay. A few technical difficulties this morning, but yeah.
Happy to be here.
Just a standard Monday morning for us.
Not really standard because we're supposed to be at work.
I'm pleased that you guys are hosting this week, and I was like, oh guys, I'm happy to do the early morning. The London boys have always got to do the early morning, but here we are again.
I was hopeful we'd have a much more social hour, but it hasn't worked out that way. Look, this week I guess we're going to go through only a few of the games from Matchday 2 because we just simply haven't got time to go through them all, and there's too many goals to talk about this weekend.
You can't even go through all the goals.
No. In fact, I keep watching highlights. I'm like, I don't know if this was this week or is this from last season, but I've seen, I saw Sun score 4. I thought that was a highlight reel, but it was just one match. But we'll get to
career highlights.
Yeah.
I read a stat that there was 39 goals across 8 games scored this weekend, and at an average of 4.9 goals per game. So that's for those playing along at home. There was a lot of goals.
Yeah, and if we, I guess if we keep watching Leeds and Fulham, that's they should just play every week. That was awesome. But speaking of goals, should we do own goals? Do we have any ones for the week? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, my own goal is really just what happened to defending in the last 2 months, because the season finished and the new season started, and it just seems like no one's interested in defending. So it's just the new football for millennials. Short attention spans, a lot of goals.
This has become an old man rant already. Instagram
football. TikTok football.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you about that, boys, because we also had a listener question just around the defending or lack of defending this week. Lee Broxham Facts on Twitter wants to know: are we seeing less desperate defending because there are no fans in the stadium to get let down? It's sort of like futsal.
No pressure. There's no pressure. They assume no one's watching, so just go for it.
Well, maybe it's making it easier to score. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that the relegated the teams that sort of were promoted are really helping boost the numbers, I guess. There's also
I was going to say, are we calling them relegated teams already? It's like match day 2, and we're referring to Fulham as a relegated team already.
We can definitely refer to West Brom as a relegated team already. But I don't know. Fulham,
Fulham are completely optional in defending. So
okay.
Well, my own goal this week, boys. If we're talking own goals, I know we'll talk about Chelsea Liverpool, but it has to be that penalty that was given against Thiago. He's just, Werner's just come across him, and Thiago's shirt has just ruffled onto him, and the ref's given a penalty. That's got to be an own goal for me, and complete vindication that it was saved by Alisson as well.
Surely there were worse penalties given this week, Colby, than that one. A few very dubious handballs and unlucky ones where someone was like 1 meter away from the ball being kicked into their hand. So I don't think that's the one you should focus on. I'm surprised you're not wearing the Liverpool shirt.
It was a crime. It was a crime. Andy, what about yourself, mate? Have you got an own goal?
Own goals. I'll save. I had one from the Man U match, but I'll save it for when we get to that. I've got a bit of a crime against fashion, and it was Ronnie Koeman in his first match in charge of the Barca side, wearing the loafers without socks. Now, in summer, I'll admittedly be one of the first people to lose the socks and put on the slip-ons. But if you Googled what would a pork belly look like as a person, you would get Ronnie Koeman. And it's a really bad look. He's got like giant ankles and his pants are really tight. He looks really weird. He kind of just looks like all his kit went through the wash. And, it's a really poor look. My other little bit of own goal material was Real Madrid's social media publication of Gareth Bale's exit. They put up a post saying both Bale and Reguilon have left, and then they put the second post that just said, we'd like to thank Reguilon for his professionalism and commitment to the club.
Oh,
Did he even play any games for Real
He
Madrid?
did, or did Gareth, but but a very like open and obvious backhand towards Bale. So.
wasn't he getting negged even in the Real Madrid papers and everything? They just said like buy Bale or something like that. I mean, the man's a legend of the club. He's got better stats than Zidane and OG Ronaldo. It's like, give the man some respect.
Yeah, I'm very, very quick to forget. I just thought that was very petty and very obvious. Now it's the first time I would love to see Spurs qualify for the Champions League. I'd love to see them go up against Real Madrid. There'd be nothing better for me than that.
Isn't Gareth only on loan though? Like if they can't do another deal,
actually, he wouldn't be able to play against them anyway.
Yeah.
Another Real Madrid game
in the contract. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, there's been a lot of talk about Gareth Bale in the past, couple of weeks, and definitely in the last week. And I was reading a few of those stats about him. Apparently, every minute that he played at Real Madrid cost the club 23,000 euros, given how much time he was injured. And the last goal he scored was in March 2019. So if you think about how long ago March 2020 feels, add another year onto that.
Not quite Sanchez Man U numbers, but
not far off either.
Far off.
Yeah.
Jeez. And all those Spanish lessons wasted.
Yeah, you meant.
Anything more positive?
I thought it was quite funny this weekend, and I think I posted in the group chat, boys, just Patrice Evra on Wilfred Zaha and why he was having some difficulties at Man U. Perhaps he was had one eye on David Moyes' family members, I think. So I suggest everyone go and look at the Sky clip, because when I was watching, when it was on live, the panelists there were just were white in the face when he mentioned.
Who decides who gets a clearance into those games?
What do you mean?
Who gets into the stands?
Who gets into the stadium?
Yeah. There's been some weird ones. There's some guys like a YouTube personality here who's been at all the Arsenal games. And I was like, how was that guy?
Like the assistant manager needs to be there. The subs need to be there. The refs, the linos. But some of these other people, I'm not sure how they're getting in.
Give more than a game access. We can get to Highbury.
Yeah, we need a media pass. Well, I'll jump in, boys. My moment of the week should be evident to all, but it's my boy Brad Smith. He's just signed a 2.5-year deal for Seattle Sounders, where he won the MLS Cup back in 2018-19. And importantly for him, that was where he's played the most consistent senior minutes in his career. Because he's obviously bounced around on loan everywhere he's been in the throughout the Premier League and the Championship. He was pretty insistent on staying in the UK, but it just didn't pan out for him. So we're just pleased to see him sign a permanent club and stop living out of a suitcase, and hopefully he can play some football now.
Passionate man, Smithy. That's good for him. I only had one quick one. It's that Coca-Cola apparently now manufacturing blue Everton cans in Colombia.
They're selling quite well too, aren't they?
Yeah. Which just baffling to me. What would it? He's only been there two matches, but yeah, as we know, he's now probably the second most popular Colombian export on the streets of Liverpool these days. No, I think that's interesting. I wonder where they're going to go next. I wonder what other Everton's just doesn't seem like the sort of sexy club that you can merchandise along the lines of PSG. And I don't.
Well, with Kazoo, anything's possible.
Well, that's probably enough of that. I reckon maybe we might touch on the transfer stuff a little bit later and get straight into the games. What do you think? Yeah, sounds good. Let's go to Palace Man U. Finished up 3-1 to Palace. The Cypriot kid, Andros Townsend, got on the score sheet first, and then Zaha actually had to take his penalty for him.
Jordan Ayew did not look very confident taking that penalty.
Yeah.
Zaha subbed in for him and drilled it.
because obviously their first choice penalty taker in so Milojevic wasn't on the pitch either. So then Zaha took that penalty. Donny van der Beek got on the score sheet in his first game, and then Zaha back in to finish it off at 3-1. Colby, what do you make of Man U?
I thought they were going to be good this year. Like, I mean, we've all been sold this lie every season that this is going to be the year where they come back and they've got all this talent coming into the team. Yeah, they couldn't get Sancho, but like, come on, guys, like,
Sancho,
what's going on?
Right winger was not the problem.
No, that's not the problem area. The problem area is apparently at centre back, where they just looked in absolute shambles.
Well, I think their back four was pretty average. You had Fosu Mensah on the right, Luke Shaw on the left, and the ultimate centre back pairing, Maguire and
Lindelof. Yeah.
But how do you put Maguire in a red shirt and he suddenly becomes a shit footballer? Like, do we all remember how good he was at Leicester? That's why he got that, £80 million move or whatever it was. And how has he possibly turned into this bumbling idiot at United?
Well, he's basically, I mean, he's still good in the air. I think his heading percentage, like he wins every ball in the air. But other than that,
might be the ankle bracelet he's wearing playing now.
He was bad. He was bad before that. Now he's just a bad boy now.
But I think we can also. I think it was De Gea had an off game if there ever was one, and that must affect him as well. Not having the same sort of confidence as someone behind you. That said, further forward, I just thought in the middle, Bruno Fernandes had an average game.
Palace were kicking him every time.
Every time him or Pogba touched the ball, they ended up on their ass. So it goes to show like, he made such a big difference to them when he got in last year. And if he has an off game, they really don't tick in the middle at all. I just felt they never had. They had plenty of the ball, but.
But it played into Palace's hand. Like they were just waiting to charge down the flanks, and Zaha was just every time looked like they could have scored more. Every time they got on the break, Man U were in serious trouble. So it'll be interesting to see if Van der Beek, Pogba, and Fernandes can all play together. Probably not, but they might get desperate and play all three of them and see what happens in the midfield. But good luck to the defence if that's the case.
And we should give some credit to Palace as well because they're sort of every second team's bogey team and they're quite good on the road too. I think the only team to have won more on the road than Palace is really City against those sort of top teams. So they're on the road against the big boys. Palace are the ones more often than not you're going to slip up to.
But I actually thought they actually when they didn't have a lot of the ball, but when they did, they were actually playing football. It wasn't just like knocking it along and just trying to get it to Zaha's feet. They actually played some nice little passing moves. They just didn't have a lot of the ball, yet somehow had, I think I had a stat somewhere on this one. They had 24% of possession, but they turned that into 14 shots and five on target. So
that's effective, yeah.
They're sort of front four. The four guys they're going to play, like the two wingers and the two forwards, like they're all pretty explosive and they know where each other's going to run. So every time they do get the ball, one of them is just on for an outlet pass and then the other guys just stream in the box. And then they've got some reinforcements now with Eze and Batshuayi on the bench as well. So they've got six guys who can slot in there, which is pretty
and I thought Zaha was going to be the main beneficiary, and he looks to be a little bit freed up as well. But we've not really mentioned your boy Dross Townsend, George. Is he actually going to start playing well again?
Well, now, yeah, because there's more competition in the squad, so it kind of looks like any one of those guys can drop out. So yeah, looks like he's ready to go, ready to fire this season.
And Colby, I don't need to. I'm always fairly quick to jump on Solskjaer and how I think this Man project's a joke. And I don't want to just labour the point, but straight after the match, the first thing's to resolve, we haven't really had a pre-season, which I don't buy because no one has. And that he was missing a lot of starters. But I'm trying to think who was out of the squad. Obviously, he didn't have, what's his name at right back?
Wan-Bissaka.
At right back.
He's the only one who can actually defend as well. So I mean, that's in that back sort of, if you want to call it five, including the keeper. He's really the only one who is still can still hold the head up as being a decent defender.
Yeah, and obviously Mason Green didn't start, just smashing names on the bench. But
I don't know. But
okay, what difference? Like, who would have made the difference there? Like, the best ones were on the pitch, I thought. So
Their lineup was still pretty stacked. They had Fernandez, Martial, Rashford all start, and Pogba. So I mean, if you can't knock over Palace, well, you know the lineup is still very stacked on paper.
Yeah, man for man, that team should be so much better on paper.
They were pretty unlucky though, guys. I mean, the penalty was pretty dodgy, and then obviously, you know, they had to be retaken as well. So, I mean, all the pundits here were losing their minds about the penalty, and then obviously the retake as well. So, you know, on another day, they probably wouldn't have conceded that goal. But, you know, I'm not completely writing them off just yet.
Okay, well, the conservative.
No revised predictions then, boys. Man United, we're still gonna stick in the top four, or
no? Then I'm not. I don't have.
I'm putting Palace in the top four. What do you mean?
and at that point, I realised I never sent in my predictions, so they won't be.
Yeah, you've reserved your predictions quite well there.
Maybe around 5 or 6. I can see a few more teams. On predictions, I tipped Fulham to cop a lot of goals at the start of this year, and they're doing a good job of that so far.
Pretty safe bet.
Yeah, so that one obviously finished up 4-3. Mine was just say goal fiesta.
Yeah.
Marcelo goal fiesta.
Marcelo goal.
This is the game that had it all, boys. It was the not quite Premier League quality derby in Bamford against Mitrovic. It was the not quite Wolves quality derby in Costa against Cavallero, and it was the Harrison Classico with Harrison Reed and Jack Harrison facing off. So this game just had it all. Like you want it, you got it.
Good amount of penalties as well. So
yep,
just championship quality defending. A lot of championship quality players.
Yeah, and we had a comment from Chicano U-turn on Twitter saying Bielsa's policy of just scoring more goals than the opposition is both nuts and entertaining. Is this going to be the way Bielsa's going to play all season, boys? Just 100 miles an hour, or are they going to do a Norwich or a Fulham or what?
I think they've been it's sort of lended itself to the fixtures they've had. So against Liverpool, it was a free hit effectively, and then against Fulham, he said just go for it. So it'd be interesting to see when they play like a sort of standard level Premier League team, whether he's going to sort of try and tighten things up at the back or try and play for points, because it looks like they're able to score at will, but I'd worry about the other side. I don't think that's sustainable, because that's sort of what Norwich were doing last season, and it didn't quite work out for them. So Leeds are probably better, but
Leeds are better. Leeds were up 3-1 with maybe sort of 20 minutes or so to go, but then that's where you worry that we then copped 2, and the last section of the game at least it was all Fulham, and all of a sudden Mitrovic was having a field day.
And Damo's just dropped in on the chat. Leeds are averaging 18 shots per game, 3 more than anyone else in the Premier League thus far. So there you go.
So I think the answer to the question is of whether Leeds are going to continue in this fashion might be yes. And
yes,
until they stop scoring, because this is sort of what Norwich did, and to a lesser extent Fulham before them. They sort of came out, swinging, scoring lots of goals, and then. Then the goals dried up, but the defense didn't tighten up, and down they went.
Well, if the Premier League defending is going to continue the way it is, then go for it by all means. But I don't think, and we'll get on to Liverpool, but I don't think Liverpool's defense is that great at the moment, and I don't, obviously Fulham's isn't. So maybe it's played into their hands.
That might be a nice segue. Colby, do you want to talk about Liverpool's defense, and do you want to talk about the big game?
Yeah, well, I thought the defense held up all right. Clean sheet, thanks to Fabinho slotting in at the back beside Van Dijk. Kept Werner in his pocket for most of the game when he wasn't brushing up against Thiago and diving in the box. It was a pretty satisfying game. I mean, Christensen looked like he was playing AFL at one point when he tackled Mane to get sent off. And well, I'm just personally glad that the VAR did its job there.
Sure. What I'll say about this game
I've been looking forward to this.
Is Liverpool basically beat Chelsea's reserves, because if you look at Chelsea's back four and goalkeeper, in a month's time, none of those guys are going to be playing. So I think that Chelsea did a good job to hold out for 44 minutes. Obviously that one long ball was pretty awesome by Hendo, and Mane's run was, obviously went into Christensen's blind spot and got him from the corner. So fair play.
In front of him?
Blind spot. In the blind spot, it got him.
A large blind spot.
I'm not saying it was good defending.
No.
I'm saying it was good run.
It wasn't.
And then, once you're down to 10 men and the second half starts, it's always going to be hard. Great goal from Mane. Good header, good movement, pretty poor defending from Alonso. And then obviously Kepa. The less said, the better. But yeah, so I don't think any of those back four will be playing most weeks in a month's time. So,
what about Rudiger though, George? Frank just didn't pick him. You've got like your best defender in the squad, and where is he?
Let his confidence just stay up. Slot him in a few weeks with Thiago, and we'll go from there. Yeah, it was a bit of an odd one, and I don't know why he didn't play, but probably in the long term, it's better for his confidence that he wasn't there.
Yeah, probably better to skip that one.
Yeah.
On confidence, I thought first half I did think it was actually quite even. Very obviously looks great. There's a lot of chat here already about Havertz and whether he's not cut out for the Premier League yet after 2 matches. So
he just doesn't look fit though. I think give Havertz, let Havertz get up to speed.
Let him have a more than a week of training, maybe.
Yeah.
And in the same position, perhaps, because he's played different spots each week. But then another guy who's obviously short on confidence is Kepa.
Should he have just been hooked halfway through? And I know it's hard to get Kepa off the ground at the best of times, but should he have just been hooked?
Well, I was a bit worried at one point when it's like, okay, Roman's clearly on the phone right now. We're like, just send the jet to France. Like, get this Mendy guy here as quick as we can. We can't wait any longer. But at that point, I was almost worried. Is Kevin just going to roll the ball into his own net a few times as well? Like, he might as well, because
Petr went down to training this week, and maybe they're working on shot stopping and not the footwork. So who knows? Ideal. And the Frank Lampard's interview at the end of the game,
very funny.
Yeah, you could see the vein just pulsating in his forehead.
He was frowning so much; his eyebrows had just converged together for the entire interview.
He was giving me big Liam Neeson in Taken vibes. Just staring down the barrel so angrily and wouldn't want to have messed with him after that game.
And what about this manufactured Frank versus Klopp rivalry?
Oh, what a load of shit. Honestly. But although one thing I did really enjoy to do with the whole Frank and Klopp thing, as much as it's being played up in the UK media, when Christensen did get sent off, apparently all the Liverpool bench, the players all just went up and applauding, and Klopp sort of turned around to them and he's like, guys, just chill out. We don't do that here. And I just thought Klopp was a subtle bit of high roading from Klopp there, and it
on the inside he's cheering. Fuck off, he's cheering the most. Yeah.
Klopp would have got into the dressing room and been fucking giving it these lines.
Get Thiago ready.
Oh no, he just really took the high road to Frank there in front of him, and I thought that was a nice touch.
How about Thiago, boys, just coming in, against a team with 10 men deflated? You wouldn't.
Good team to get you.
Good time to just knock it around in the middle of the park. When I don't know what the possession stats were, but they were pretty favourable towards Liverpool. So
the stat that's been going around about that is that he completed 75 passes coming on at half time, which is more than any Chelsea player for the entire match, including none other than Jorginho. The under Sarri, obviously, the sort of passing fulcrum of that team. But a bit of stat padding for Thiago. Never hurt anybody.
Yeah, and gave away his first penalty as well. So
Cobbs, just one for you on Wijnaldum, who I thought played really well, and everyone he's apparently going to be the guy to sort of make way in the squad for Thiago.
is he?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently he's
Well,
wanted a passer, isn't he?
There's been a bit of talk, and Jesse was the first one in our group chat to sort of put this idea out there, but I'm sure he got it from somewhere that if Genie does stay in the team, that he was going to Klopp's going to use him as a backup to Firmino, and play him further forward like he does for the Netherlands.
Yeah, I think if he played to the right or left of Thiago, he pencil him in for 10 plus goals a year easily. Like there was also some chat on the Sky telecast about Liverpool letting him wind down his contract, like Emre and a few others this season. So and they don't want to sell him. So just going to let him play out his final year, and then he can leave for free.
I'm sure he'll be professional about it.
Might even want to stay if he's getting them served on a platter.
That's right. Yeah, I think we've got Jesse in the chat right now. So or somebody posing as him. So yeah, I think we can confirm that this is some farmer wisdom.
Jesse's claiming that was his idea and he didn't take it from anyone else.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's good.
Anyway, but just to put Liverpool fans back in their box a little bit, like every through ball looked like it was going to lead to a one-on-one, and if Timo had his
from Thiago.
Timo had his shooting boots on, I think it would have been a slightly different scoreline.
Well, we do have a question on this, boys, before we move on, from poor Take on Twitter. How long will Frank last as Chelsea manager, and who would replace him?
No, I think
George has just walked away.
No, we just make sure we don't suffer a power outage.
But
the broadcast.
The other point on that question from poor Take on Twitter was that yes, Poch is still available, but Allegri, he's not available. He's on Italian Dancing with the Stars apparently. So
I didn't know that.
Can't get him at the moment.
I didn't know that, but wow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who you'd go with. Should we talk transfers quickly?
Yeah, go on.
Seeing as we're going to lose, well, we've already talked about Wijnaldum rumours. Back to Man United. The other funny thing I thought was Luke Shaw after the match against Palace saying that Man United need more reinforcements. When
maybe at left back.
Precisely. That's yeah. I don't know who posted that meme of him shooting himself, but that was good. Other transfers. Apparently, Jesse Lingard wanted by Mourinho at Spurs, but wants to get rid of Dele Alli. And for me, these two are basically like the same.
They're the same player.
Lingard's has to shit at Dele Alli.
Yeah,
I often confuse them in my head. Yeah,
I often but I don't know why he would want the worst version. But
Lingard's a bit of a Mourinho type defensive forward, run all day kind of thing, and then give him Mourinho's man of the match, even though he's done nothing kind of thing. So maybe Mourinho just wants reinforcements at the moment. He just wants more players. So get as many bodies in there as he possibly can. Because when one or two of his important guys get injured, inevitably when they do, he'll be complaining.
Well, you've got Gareth Bale rocking up to the club injured, which is pretty much the most Gareth Bale thing that could. Most Gareth Bale way to arrive. So
do we think he's gonna have Bale as a second striker? Because they still not seem to have signed a Harry Kane backup.
I mean, I just kind of play as a three. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. They'll play as a three with Son and Kane. Or if Kane's injured, he can replace him and play centrally. But you'd think they'd play in a three.
I guess
we'll find out in a few months' time.
We will, but there might be a Dele Alli shaped hole there as well. Who's apparently being shopped around to everyone, and Real Madrid turned him down as part of that deal. But Who else? Oh, so back to Spurs do have obviously regular on. What was that? Back thanks, Jesse. He said he would back me to win Dancing with the Stars. Italia. Yeah.
So would I, Andy. I've seen your dancing.
We don't know what the quality is
seen
like.
you
double
double
pass
pass many a time.
We don't know what the quality is like. If I'm up against Allegri, I don't know. He might get the
if any listeners want to get at us with the Allegri Dancing with the Stars Italia highlights, I mean, get into our DMs. Just add us. Just link us in some stuff because I'd be curious to see how he's going.
I thought you were saying if anyone wants to go on Dancing with the Stars with us, let us know. we could use a coach or a partner. Only on the Liverpool as well as Thiago coming in, Diego Jota coming in.
Yeah, Colin. Where did
That's
this one come from?
That was a bit of a surprise to me.
I was a bit miffed by this one. Yeah, I was a bit miffed by this one when I first saw it, boys.
Miffed.
Because obviously, Thiago coming in, he's a world-class player. Yeah, he hasn't got too many more years left at his peak in terms of age, but he's a world-class player, gives something different, and the club got him for an absolute bargain. So that was a very, very good deal. But on paper, like Jota, 40 million, hasn't done much at Wolves yet, but he's very highly rated. So I think he could definitely be one of those.
I was surprised that he was only 23. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still very young. But he sort of hasn't fired and hasn't really been that productive at Wolves at all.
He's been pretty productive. I don't know about that. That's a bit harsh.
Oh, I mean, he's had a few good moments off the bench, but like nothing special, nothing to sort of match the hype that was around him a couple of years ago.
He sort of hasn't. He's the new Mane.
Well, he could be. That's what I'm saying. Under the right manager, he'd be like a bit of a rough diamond. But at the moment, he just hasn't really lived up to the promise.
Yeah, and the transfer fee was pretty high.
Especially for COVID times, 40 million is a pretty big fee. Yes, he's a 23-year-old.
When you couldn't pay 50 for Werner and you paid.
Yeah, that's exactly
yeah.
right. Yeah, you could chuck in an extra 10 and you could have got yourself Werner, which we actually needed. But yeah,
maybe it was wages then. His wages would be much lower. But yeah, I mean, it came out of the blue, so there you go.
One guy going the other way, apparently, though, the Ox. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much about this. I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but I mean,
is
this a tribal football rumor?
all the best rumors are found on tribal football.
I think they've got a bit of depth in midfield now, but Ox would always add quality there, especially with Lallana out and Milner not getting any younger, and Genie potentially leaving as well. So we'll have to watch this space. I'd like to see the Ox stay, particularly given his injury record and the improvements that have seemed to be made under Klopp for him. So I'd like to see him continue that. But yeah.
Is there anyone else on the rumor mill that we've seen? I think that's it for my list. But
yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we can froth hammers when we get to Everton, I suppose.
Oh, we should have a note on Everton actually. So one thing I won't be revising is my prediction of Everton for Europe next year.
Scenes.
Actually,
so are they actually going to be good, boys? Like, I know a lot of people are hyping them up, but we've been burned by Everton so many times.
I mean, the opposition weren't great, down to 10 men.
They haven't played a good team just yet, but they are actually enjoyable to watch.
That's a neg on Spurs.
I mean, they're actually enjoyable to watch for the first time that I can remember. Really, like even at like their absolute, Timmy Cahill and Osman and Stephen Pienaar best days, like I don't know, they're actually. Yeah.
Well, I think they've fought, like Ancelotti's got a few guys in, and he's managed to get them playing it in a way that you kind of understand. Whereas sort of last year there was just a few too many number 10s, too many number 6s. Cavalier was still sort of on the up, still sort of raw. I mean, and he's
still not sure about whether he's good or not.
You've got James, you've got James just dropping balls on his head, and
Ancelotti's changed up the structure as well. He played a 4-3-3 against West Brom, and maybe that was because it was West Brom. So we'll have to see what he does against better opposition. But I mean, that front three of James, Richarlison, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the end of them was pretty tasty.
I think it's more the midfield with Decore and Allen.
My boy
Decore and Allen have made a huge difference, haven't they, already?
And Allen, absolute ball-winning machine.
And I think Gomez usually plays at the moment.
Yeah.
They're
There'll be like quite tight competition for spots in that midfield because you've got Gbamin to come back. You've got Davies,
and when he brought forget Dave, when he brought Sigurdsson off the bench, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like he's not going to. Sigurdsson will sort of play as more of a 6 instead of in
deep line playmaker.
Yeah.
Which might suit him because of his sort of lack of pace.
Lack of pace. Yeah.
I think that they're looking pretty good. They probably need a few defensive reinforcements if they want to sort of.
Yeah, like if Michael Keane went down, I think they're in trouble. Like
I don't fully trust you.
No, and nor should Carlo.
And obviously Pickford's,
Pickford's gone like full crackhead the last 2 games. He's done 2 really weird things. He like lollipopped a clearance up with like a lot of time for no reason. So yeah, I'd be concerned about Pickford.
West Brom looked okay going. They scored a couple of crackers. Tingana.
Yeah, it was that young West Ham lad.
Yeah.
Tingana.
And then obviously went down to 10 men, but they were still sort of behind, I guess. But
And just an update for the listeners on Kazoo. A quick update on Kazoo.
Seeing them on a lot of cabs. I'm seeing a lot of Kazoo sponsorships just on the streets of London. So
it's the James effect.
Yeah. So if you want to, free plug if you're interested in a used car, I think.
They're apparently going to donate £1,000 to Everton's charity, Everton in the Community, for every Premier League goal they score. And there was a lot of banter around this being like, they're not going to score any goals, but like,
I think it's going to be the opposite, especially.
Won't have to put their hands into their pockets.
I'd be worried about the company and the books.
Everton might bankrupt Kazoo here.
Yeah, that's right. Especially if we go into another lockdown here and they've still got to pay out on the goals.
They can't sell any secondhand cars, and they've got to bloody pay out all these Dominic Calvert-Lewin headers.
Exactly.
Boys, do we have anything else? I think that might be it for the morning. Unless you've got anything else you'd like to cover, Colby. Talked about used cars. We've talked about
Brad Smith.
That's
Smithy. Yeah.
Talked about Smithy. We've had some Smithy watch. We've had some Kazoo watch. That's probably all that I had.
Well, I guess we'll.
Before we sign off though, we've just got a question that's been held over from last week, and this could probably have come under transfers and new players. We had a question on Facebook from listener Arnab about the new Brazilian Gabriel. Said he had a great debut, bar one slight mistake. What did you make of him? Do you think he'll be the right sort of level for the Premier League?
Yeah, I liked him. He goes pretty hard in challenges. He looks pretty comfortable on the ball. And, Arsenal seem to be, doing okay. I mean, they had a pretty soft couple of games with Fulham and West Ham. And they still had a bit of trouble with West Ham, scoring late in the game to make it 2-1. We didn't talk about them. But, he looks good. I think. Yeah. And, Lacazette, Aubameyang looking good. Nketiah coming off the bench. Yeah, Arsenal look okay. Willian looks like he's slotting in. But like I've said today, 2 pretty easy games, I think, that they should have won. But they did. So, Gabriel looks good.
Good eye.
Well, on that note, I guess we can call proceedings to a close for the morning. As we said, I think we're going to put this up on YouTube, and it will be uploaded again as a podcast. So that'll be on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else that you get your audio on demand. But for everyone else, thanks for joining. Thanks for the questions that we got in. You can always send more of them through to our Morning Game Podcast at Gmail, or get us on Twitter and Facebook. I guess we're you.
Ciao.
See ya.